Williams debuts their Gulf livery. Is Checho in the hot seat because the Honey Badger has clawed his way back into F1? Kind of. This is Into the Chicane, a Formula One podcast. Before we get started, I want to remind you guys to please subscribe to the YouTube, follow us on Instagram, check us out on Twitter, TikTok, all that shit. Like, subscribe, rate, review. We are your hosts. I'm Channing Apodaca. The man across the screen is
Brandon Wood. How's it going?
It's going good. How you doing?
Good, man. It's officially summer. Very hot here in Los Angeles. Had a little off week, no racing, so really looking forward to this weekend. There's been a lot happening, so a lot to look forward to.
It's been absolutely scorching out here. We could go for some of that rain that they've been having at every single Grand Prix for the last 5 races.
Yeah.
We did have did you watch any IndyCar, the Toronto Grand Prix?
No, I missed that, but I heard it was a pretty good one.
Yeah, I think that's one of their street courses. So that was I heard it was a good race. I didn't see the whole thing. I caught some of the highlights, but I think Alex Palou's streak was broken. Was all I heard.
Yeah, but he still finished like P2, I think, with like a broken front wing.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, he's crushing right now.
Sorry. Do you hear that banging?
Yeah. What
going
is
on in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've been doing like construction here in our apartment. Like down, they were doing like the stairs down there, like at the end, and they were eventually going to get to our stairs, and
they just decided to do it right now.
They decided to just start exactly right now. So,
and I will make do.
Forgive me if you guys hear some banging going on in the background.
I spent the first like 3 or 4 years in this apartment with constant construction on all sides of us, so I'm used to it at this point. There was one point where they redid the pool in our lobby, and we have one of those, our apartments surround the pool, and they dug up the pool with a jackhammer twice. Not once, but twice. One of them, they started at like 5 in the afternoon, like just before, everybody's getting off work, want their downtime, and they're jackhammering right side of everybody's window. So we're used to it.
Yeah, when they started down on the other side, they started on Friday. So they tore up all the stairs, the bottom half of the stairs, to the point where you couldn't walk on them, and then they left for the weekend.
Did they? Oh, no way.
Yeah, so like the neighbors all the way down at the end were struggling a little bit, but
dude, landlords in LA don't give a shit about anything. They really don't. They're just like, just be fucking glad that you're here and you're not in Dayton, Ohio. Do they give you guys any sort of warning before they were going to do it?
No, none at all.
Yeah,
they just started doing it. I mean, yeah, it's frustrating. So
we got it bad out here. Everybody's on strike.
Maybe.
The landlords don't care about us. It's bad.
I know.
Let's get into all the news of the week. What do you got for us?
So quite a bit happening. This is not official yet, but
was there any big stories?
Word broke that FIA is expected to accept 2 new teams for 2026. The word is Andretti and High Tech. So
is it High Tech who's coming up from F2, right?
Yeah, High Tech Grand Prix team, which is they've got an F2 and F3 team amongst other series. But yeah, so it makes sense kind of where that relationship comes into play. But yeah, also Andretti. So
I like the Andretti, and I like that they're going to make it 12 teams instead of 11. I like the even number so that the grid is lined up evenly.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I didn't like the idea of 11. 24 is a lot of cars to have on the grid. I think if they're going to do that, they might have to expand the point system. Do a new breakdown, or just because you can't have more than half the field not in the points.
Yeah, it's already tough as it is, being that only top 10 team or finishers get points. So it would make sense to expand that a little bit, maybe top 12, something like that. But
you think there's a chance that any teams leave? Could you see? You think Haas dips out?
I don't know.
They're signed on through 2026.
It would take a lot
right?
for them to be forced to not finish or to not compete in the series anymore, just because of the value of being able to hold one of those seats. So
yeah, and they're kind of on the up and up right now. So
yeah.
I dig it, though. There's so many young drivers that haven't had the opportunity to get an F1 spot because of either paid drivers or, big name drivers like Mick Schumacher wanting to get in. Obviously, fucking older drivers coming back like Nico Hulkenberg, Kevin Magnussen. Now we have Daniel Ricciardo making his way back, which we're going to get to. But this is a good opportunity to get a lot of, the Callum Ilots of the world. Who else? Name them. Alex Palou, who were we just talking about, who, he wants to take a spot. Colton Herta in IndyCar. Nick DeVries probably should have gotten a shot sooner than he did and gotten his feet a little bit more wet. Who else?
No, this is great. The more the merrier, I think.
Yeah.
So
it's a good thing, I think, overall. The FIA just has to approve whether or not they add value or whatever. And who was it? There was one team that said that they are with it. I don't remember which team it was.
I know Gunter Steiner wasn't very happy about the idea of expanding because they're already struggling for earnings and stuff. So the more teams to fight for what they're already fighting for, he's not into. But if they expand the purse a little bit and provide opportunities for more points and stuff, I think it could work out for everybody.
Yeah, it could be a good thing. I'm down with it. I like the idea of more drivers, getting more names, getting more seats. Maybe we'll see Brad Pitt's team on there. What else?
So, former driver from Williams team, Nicholas Latifi, announced that he's going to be hanging up his racing boots and going to pursue a MBA at London Business School.
Oh, no. We're never going to see Latifi in a car again? Dang.
Yeah, so I'm sure all the Latifi fans out there are weeping over this. I was very curious what was going to become of him after, the way he went out last year, but I'm not super surprised by this, but at the same time, kind of happy for him, on to bigger and better things, I hope.
No offense to Nicholas Latifi, but you sent that to me on a text. It's a big who cares from me. I never expected him, outside of maybe getting a shot in like DTM. There's no way he could be a rally car driver because that's putting way too much power into his hands to be reckless. I don't see any other racing series. He doesn't get an IndyCar drive. Maybe Super Formula, just because the fandom of racing, I could see him potentially having gone there, but great, Nicky, go back to school. Use your family's money and go buy a degree. You bought a seat already. Go buy yourself a piece of paper.
Yeah, it's tough. You spend so much of your life trying to be the best race car driver, and for it to
that he
not
could be.
Well, I mean, everyone's trying to be something, right? So
100%.
Whether or not you can achieve that is another thing, but it's difficult to spend so much of your life pursuing one thing and then for it to not kind of pan out the way you want it to and have to pivot is
100%. I mean, you got to give him credit for
tough.
For pointing his life in a new direction. That's good. I don't mean to hate on the dude so much. It's just, it was funny. Like his whole plight in F1, his entire 2 or 3 year career that he had there. It speaks for itself. I don't know. I thought that was funny though, the tweet that he put out, the whole message of his official retirement, the way it was just on like a plain PDF. I don't know why that was so funny to me. It was just like a Windows doc exported. Yeah. There was no flair to it. There was no ledger. It was just like the most plain Arial black font that it could be. It was just funny to me.
It's the business font.
Yeah, it was very businessy.
Yeah. So, another news, we also there's rumblings that 3 teams breached the cost cap in 2022. So we may see some penalties being dished out here in a little bit.
What's the over-under that Red Bull is one of those 3 teams?
Sorry, what'd you say?
What's the over-under that Red Bull was one of those 3 teams?
I was going to say, if if you could guess, which three would they be?
I would guess Aston Martin, just because of the overhaul that they've done there.
I second that.
I think the easy answer is Red Bull, but you'd have to think that they're dotting their I's, crossing their Q's or whatever, however the alphabet works. But they also didn't pay that big of a penalty. So maybe Red Bull. I could see Mercedes being one of them.
Same.
Because they did a lot of work and just out of spite to say, well, if they can do it, we can too.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. Like Mercedes would totally say, "Oh, well, it's worth the fine to go and spend that extra money to try to, get that extra wing they're looking for or something."
Do the exact same thing. And then I could also see McLaren being part of that because they did a pretty big overhaul. They said before, they weren't focusing on their car for the first half of this year, and they were putting a lot of effort into kind of this new package that they've put together these past few weeks. So maybe, and they also have the money to pay the fine. But I think that if fines come out, that this second coming of fines is going to be a lot bigger than the one that Red Bull had to incur. You have to think that the FIA wasn't going to fuck around if people were doing this again.
Yeah, I mean, definitely if Red Bull is found to have been in breach again, I would assume that their penalty would be much harsher this time. For the other teams, I don't know. They may complain, say, "Oh, well, we've only made this one." I mean, it's definitely going to be based off of how egregious the breach is. I think that's going to be the big determining factor, rather than just them trying to punish teams for doing something that they should already know that they're not supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, the last time, when Red Bull did it, that was the first time it had happened. That was the first time that they'd set the cost cap. And so I think it was a little slap on the wrist, but if they really want to stop teams from doing it, and they've got 3 teams who may have done it, then they're going to have to hand out a hefty fine that really tells teams, don't fucking do this. They've got to make it an incentive to not do it, as opposed to the opposite.
Exactly. So, looking forward to Hungary.
Yeah, before we start talking about any of that news, did you see the new Williams Golf livery? I mentioned it up top.
No, I did not.
No. Oh, shit. Just go to the Williams Racing Instagram. So they did a golf livery for who is their new title sponsor. They did one. They're going to be debuting, I think, 3 times? 2 times. Oh, I thought they were going to be showcasing this in Hungary this weekend. Maybe not.
Oh, wow.
It says here that they're going to be doing it at Singapore and Japan only. I thought they were going to be debuting it this weekend as well. Either way, classic golf livery, white and orange, which I think we said the same thing about the McLaren Golf. How many times did they do that? Once or twice?
I like this baby blue. It's a cool.
Where?
Little change.
What baby blue?
On this Williams Golf livery.
Is that like baby blue or is that
orange?
White?
Yeah.
That's white.
Is it white?
That's white, and I mean it might have a little bit of a blue hue to it.
No, I'm pretty sure this is like blue.
I thought it was off-white, and then there's like some shadows that might have like a blue tint to it.
No, it's like blue.
It. Yeah, either way, I dig it. I normally don't like blue. Like I've been pushing for Williams to get rid of the blue for a while, or at least like go back to a predominantly white car. But the orange striping looks sick. White and orange is just such a dope look, with the predominant black, and then you got the Duracell battery. Either way, all that to say, it's a fucking dope livery. I think any team that has the golf sponsorship should always just go with that. Because the McLaren look better. This looks better than their regular car.
I love it.
Love it.
Yeah, so looking forward to Hungary. This is going to be the first race. Daniel Ricciardo in his Alpha Tauri seat. What do you think we should expect?
So that's obviously the big news story of the week. It's probably going to be the biggest news story of the F1 season, and we're going to try and keep this a short podcast, so maybe we'll have to deep dive into the entire Daniel Ricciardo transaction some other time or post-race, but...
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about it.
Yeah, we did. I did a quick pit earlier this week, so if you haven't seen that, check it out. A lot of rumors swirling around about what happened with it. Did you hear what Christian Horner came out and said about the way things happen when they decided to dump Nyck de Vries and do all that? How the conversation went down, the phone call with Marco.
And the leading I guess story from that was that it would all came down to the tire test.
Yeah.
And it was within the first 10 minutes of the tire test, they had the decision made.
Yeah.
And apparently made the call.
It was after one specific lap that they were just look at that time. There we go. Let's make this call. I think it's an incomparable. He was testing the tires in the RB19. He wasn't testing in the Alpha Tauri. He's testing in one of the fastest F1 cars ever made. And he put up competitive times with, probably at least Checho, and probably blew both Alpha Tauris out of the water. It, like I said in the quick bit, it's shitty for Nyck de Vries, but it kind of, the writing was on the wall. I think they didn't want him in there anyways. I think they used it as a little bit of an excuse to get him out,
Yeah, I believe that the decision was pretty much already made before that tire test happened.
Yeah.
It was just came down to Ricciardo, just looking competent in those first couple laps, and for them to be able to safely make the call. But I feel him putting in a fast lap and them all being wowed is not really.
Yeah, I feel like any competent driver can get in that car, especially when he's done enough simulations and probably was well enough adjusted to the spec of the car and how it was going to feel. I feel like a good enough driver could have done it. Nico Hülkenberg probably could have beat his time, Ricciardo's time. Any competent driver probably could have, and this is all speculation. But yeah, I think F1 as a whole is going to be really happy. Netflix's Drive to Survive is going to go apeshit over this episode. You better believe they were probably filming Red Bull or Alpha Tauri that weekend. They're going to have a field day with that one.
It's obvious that Formula One as an organization is ecstatic that this is happening.
He's one of the faces of the organization. He's a media darling.
Yeah, and there's been nonstop posts about Daniel Ricciardo since last Tuesday when
almost
they
every
had the tire
single
test.
post from F1 or from Alpha Tauri and Red Bull as a whole has been nothing but Daniel Ricciardo. And the way that they sent Nyck de Vries off was just kind of fucked. They didn't even do a departure from, Nyck de Vries. All it was a short snippet from France Toss saying that we thank Nyck for his time with the team, but we can't be more excited to have Daniel Ricciardo back in the family.
Yeah, it's a rough go for Nyck, and I hope he lands on his feet. I think he will.
I think he's going to find himself, if not in an IndyCar drive, just to get something brand new. Maybe by next year, the year after that, I would like to see him in IndyCar or Super Formula. If not, he'll definitely have a seat back in Formula E. I think he's too good for that series, but it's a definite. And you know what? Formula E is kind of on the up and up, so maybe he'll be on the forefront of something nice, but that's a big we shall see. But he deserves better.
Yeah, so with all that being said, where do you see Daniel squaring up this weekend?
I think there's a chance. I wouldn't say that I think it's going to happen, but I think there's a chance that maybe he'll outpoint Yuki. Just because Yuki's been struggling to begin with, this is going to be a tricky track. It's going to be a qualifying track. It's kind of Monaco East in Hungary. It's a very tight track, not a whole lot of overtaking options. The way that you qualify is typically the way that you're going to finish your race. So It's going to come down to Saturday. Is going to be a big thing. So I don't know. I can also see Daniel Ricciardo completely fucking up. Like, he's going to get in that Alpha Tauri, and it's going to be a shit show. If he couldn't drive the McLaren last year, he's going to have a really tough time driving this car. Where do you think he's going to end up?
I feel like he's going to be probably around the place where Nyck would be, right?
Yeah.
Where he's not necessarily going to be at the very back of the grid, but he's going to be somewhere 15 to 20.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I feel like he's going to be struggling right off the gate. Like he hasn't had a whole lot of time in this car specifically, and there's a lot of issues with this car. So I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to get it figured out. So he may not be like, 30 seconds off the back of the whole field, but I feel like he's definitely going to be struggling to get up or anywhere near where the points threshold is. So.
Yeah, I'd say if there's one advantage that he has over Yuki, or Checho, anyone, the rest of the field in general, it's that he's got this mental advantage that he's got nothing to lose. He only has something to gain. Yuki might be gripping the steering wheel a little bit too tight because now he's got a new teammate alongside him in the same machinery, despite how bad it is, that I think, like I said in my quick pit, is there to test where Yuki's at. That was the whole point of the
100%.
video that I made, was that I think it's a whole lot less about Nyck de Vries's performance. I think that they're using this to see where Yuki's at and if they want to stick with him long-term for a potential seat in the future. I don't think, it's giving Daniel an incentive to possibly have a shot at the Red Bull seat in 2025, but I don't think he's a better option than Sergio Perez, and he's definitely not a better option for drivers that are going to be available at that time. So I think they're using this just to test Yuki. So I think Yuki might have a little bit more scrutiny under him going into this weekend and the rest of the season. So that might cause a little bit of disruption in the way that he drives, or give him, a little bit of fire under his ass. But I think Daniel Ricciardo is definitely going to have some fire under his ass, but he's also going to have a rude awakening because that car is a tractor.
Yeah, 100%. Like you were just saying, I'm going to be watching Yuki now because the pressure's going to be on for him, and so I want to see how he's going to do. He's kind of had it easy past, little stint. So I want to see him,
I think
put himself to the test a little bit.
Yeah, the F1 world, I think, is going to be watching Yuki a little bit more because, like you said, he had it easy because everybody was looking at Nyck de Vries, this, F2 Formula E champion who came to this team in pretty phenomenal fashion. Emergency reserve driver twice, showed up at Monza, did a great job there. That's kind of how he got his drive. And now he's out. So everybody's going to be looking at Yuki going, all right, well, what do you got, kid?
So how do you feel Checo's going to do this weekend? Is he going to be
is he going to make it into Q3?
Or what?
Oh God! I mean, I predicted in the last race that he was going to make it into Q3, and in phenomenal, he finds a new way to not make it every single week. I don't know what the forecast is this weekend. Do you?
Slight chance of rain on Saturday.
God damn.
Or at least the higher potential for rain is on Saturday, as opposed to
that's bad news for Checho because I think he's shown that he is not qualifying well in the wet.
No.
Odds are he makes it into Q3, right?
Odds are, yeah.
But at this point,
percentage-wise, he's probably going to get through. Like, if you looked at the numbers statistically, he has a higher chance of getting through now. But I don't know. With Daniel on the grid, maybe that's extra pressure that he's gonna, fold under. I don't know. I don't think so. I think he'll get it out of his system. Yeah. Eventually, it could be this weekend. This is kind of a track that I think might be good for him. A little tighter. So
theoretically, he should have no pressure from Daniel Ricciardo. He really shouldn't. I think Daniel Ricciardo isn't as good of a driver as Sergio Perez, at least not at this stage in their careers. Maybe at the height of Daniel's career, he was better, but he's fallen off a little bit. He's been through the ringer of too many different cars. He hasn't found, a stable car that
but
his drive.
the concept that they're examining Daniel to take his seat potentially in 2025 is very real. So, that's just something that's going to be on Checo's mind.
It's going to be on Checo's mind a little bit, but I don't think that they're actually evaluating Daniel Ricciardo to take that seat. I think what they did was dangle a carrot in front of Daniel's face and go, hey, this could be an option.
That's what Horner said, that that's what Daniel's mentality is in taking the seat. So.
That's Daniel's mentality going into this is, I only want to do this because he said it himself. He only wants to get back on the grid if he's got a chance to be in a competitive car. That competitive car is the RB20 or the RB21 or RB20B, whatever they end up calling it. But I think what they really did was they dangled a carrot in front of his face and they go, hey, maybe this is a chance. You said you did want to be in a competitive car. Well, we've got one up the road for you, potentially. Or just, they listen to him and they go, yeah, like you said. But really, they're using him as numbers. They're using him as data analysis.
I don't know. I don't think that they would put him in that seat if they weren't actually considering testing him. So, I don't know.
Potentially, but it's not. I don't see it being any sort of a long-term option. They've already done this with him. They've already done this. If they want somebody new in that seat, I think all the rumors that we've heard these past few weeks with Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, and the likes, once their contracts are up, or the option of a buyout, I think those are more viable options. Which I don't even think the Charles Leclerc option is a real thing. Big rumors about that, but
yeah. How well do you think McLaren's going to be able to keep up momentum this weekend?
That's a good question. Everything I've heard from other pundits in the zeitgeist of F1 say that they expect them to fall off a little bit, but of the track in Hungary, that we can expect them to lose a little bit of time. I hope not. I hope they are able to keep that speed. But if they fell off a little bit just because they are still getting used to this car and this isn't the quickest track, I could see that happening. And I think that Aston Martin might see a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah, I would love to see that, honestly. Fernando had said that, there are going to be only podiums from, what race was that?
From Great Britain on out.
Great. No, it was before that. But anyways, so I'd love to see him back. Say that again?
Well, he already missed that.
I know. So, but I'd love to see him get back into form. My fantasy team could really use it.
Yeah, same. I need to stretch out my lead a little bit more.
Yeah. So there's going to be a new qualifying format this weekend. So I'm curious how that's going to come into play.
There's going to be a different tire regulation for every single round, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Q1 will be hards, Q2s mediums, Q3 softs. So I don't know how this is going to play out. And it should be interesting, but
yeah, and I mean anything to shake it up. Everything seemed all their shake up ideas have seemed to work in the past few weeks, so I'm down with it.
Cool. You want to do some bold predictions?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess started off. So this weekend, this track I think is going to be well suited for the Mercedes. So I'm feeling like another Lewis Hamilton podium in the works.
I can see that. I definitely can see that.
Okay.
He's out driving George Russell. George seems to be slipping back. So yeah, and they've gotten their shit dialed in. Red Bull is bringing an upgrade package, right?
Yeah, there should be some new side pods. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to be. I feel like it's going to be just a small change, if anything. It won't be too drastic, but it would be very funny for them to come out with some straight, zero side pod
list, and Mercedes
setup
is just looking at them with their jaws dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, that's a risky thing to go side pods when your side pods have basically been perfect all season. Everybody else is copying that design.
Yeah, but there's always ways to tweak and improve things. So.
Sure. I'm going to say because of the upgrades that Red Bull's bringing, should they get it right, I'm going to go with a Red Bull 1-2 on race day.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think Checho gets back into form. I think he'll qualify up there. And yeah. You know what?
Okay.
Do you already have your second?
Yeah, I was going to say Checho through to Q3. I think he's going to break the streak, and he's going to bring it home.
I'm going to say Checho pole position.
Say that again?
I'm going to say Checho pole position.
Oof. Okay.
Fuck it. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Could be his weekend.
Viva.
My third one, I was going to say we're going to see McLaren back in top 5.
I like that.
Even though it may not be well suited for this track this weekend, I think they're going to do well. Probably see Lando up there around 5th place or so. So,
Okay.
feeling good about them.
I am going to say for my final, I'm going to say both Williams out of the points.
Both of them?
Yeah. I don't think that their car is going to be suited for this track.
Yeah, they really take advantage of the straightaways and their top speed ability.
I think they're going to struggle here.
There's not much of that this weekend, so yeah, they will definitely struggle.
Yeah. Breaking news: a story just came out. Nyck de Vries has spoken for the first time.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
First time ever?
No, I think he probably did that when he was like 1 or 2.
Okay.
But since he lost his seat, he admits that it hurts as he speaks out for the first time. He said, "A short note from me. After recent events, I decided to take some time for myself away from social media, which I will continue to do. I would like to thank Red Bull and Scuderia Alpha Tauri for the opportunity to live my dream. Of course, it hurts that the F1 chance I dreamed of for so long ended prematurely, but life is not a destination, it's a journey. And sometimes you have to take the hard road to get where you want to be. I'm grateful for our privileged lives, proud of our journey and my family. This is just another experience. We move on to the next chapter. I stopped reading and was just assuming. We move on and look forward to the next chapter. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words of encouragement and messages the past week. It's been heartwarming to feel your support." Maybe he'll go get his business degree.
Hey, well, cheers, Nyck. You made me proud. I was rooting for you all the way, and I hope we see you back in the driver's seat someday.
We'll never get that all Dutch lineup.
Hey, well, what do you say we wrap it?
Let's do it. You want to recap our bold predictions before we head out?
Sure. So you were predicting that the Red Bulls would lock out 1 and 2, Checho would get pole, and both Williams will be out of the points. I'm hoping for a Lewis Hamilton podium, Checho through to Q3, and a McLaren back in on the top 5.
Bada bing.
And we're going into this weekend with a 1-point lead for me, so we'll see if I can hold on to this. I don't know. I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I got a Checho heavy weekend, so I really, 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 really need you to dial that shit in, Sergio. Thank you.
Yeah, please.
All right, guys, this has been the Chicane pre-Hungary edition. We will see you guys post-race early next week. Peace.
Ciao. Nope.